ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time for the Midday Market Report. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Tyler Wyatt, live from Knoxville. He's going to break down some games this week. If you haven't followed him, shame on you. Head on over to Tyler Wyatt Bets on X, and of course Odds Cultures. We got some big stuff brewing with Tyler for the rest of this year and 2026. We're going to blow this off the charts. So head on over and follow Tyler Wyatt at Tyler Wyatt Bets and Odds Culture. Without further ado, let's bring him in. What's up, T?
What's happening, JD? Winter is here. It's cold in Tennessee. I don't like it. The model's been mostly warm all season, still well over 30 games above 500, 270 or 80 game sample. So fairly cool Saturday, 14 and 12. Made a tiny bit of profit, but yeah, everything. This is the worst time of year. Like, I need to be a South Floridian, a South Texan in the winter, San Diego maybe. I got to figure it out. I used to be able to handle the cold. Now, I don't know. Just can't do it. College football landscape is not cold, though. There's one thing: the college football landscape right now is blazing hot.
Well, as we talked about backstage in all of our conversations, when the equinox in the world aligns in a couple of years, I told you the game plan. It's Augusta in early April. It's Vegas for the World Series of Poker, and then we'll have the cabanas all around the globe, so we can just be like in trading places and sipping whatever the Caribbean pina coladas. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Landscape. All right, I'm going to go here. I know we only have a short time. Everyone wants your picks and plays, but I have to go. My headliner: which lane will Kiffin be in 26-27? And I have to applaud him. Big game 2 weeks ago. They had Georgia beat, and Georgia had the big fourth quarter. They traveled to Oklahoma. I got the banana in the tailpipe. I had Oklahoma team total over 28 and a half, and they were stuck on 26. Didn't score in the fourth quarter. Mississippi goes into Oklahoma and wins. Lane, LSU now, Georgia. Hats off to him, pulling the team together. Say, guys, I'm here. Let's focus on this year.
Yeah, that was an impressive performance. Oklahoma defense is really, really good. Oklahoma offense is, I think, fairly pedestrian. But yeah, the big, they're a couple of plays away from being undefeated in a top 3-4 team, I guess. Then the landscape of the SEC's a lot different. But Ole Miss, fine. You can pretty much put them in pen, I think, in a 12-team playoff after that win. Still a fairly manageable schedule. South Carolina, I don't think is a real threat, although they started Alabama. Last week, Kiffin that's got into the gym and lost some weight. He was a guy that I got to know through a pretty good friend of mine who's a large donor here at the University of Tennessee. We played golf a couple of times. He's just an odd guy. He didn't want to – we were playing a pretty nice club here in town, and he didn't want to tuck his shirt in. And it wasn't they weren't asking him to, but I asked him about it. I was like, "Why don't you tuck your shirt in?" He's like, I have a weird torso. So he's like very aware of things that most, at least college football coaches, you wouldn't think they would care about. And I think he's kind of lost maybe that chip on his shoulder. It was a very interesting career, obviously. The Raiders saga, taking the Tennessee job, leaving Tennessee essentially in the middle of the night for his dream job. And, I think he's been on record enough at this point that was the only job in the world he would have left Tennessee in the way that he left them. Obviously, the way he leaves USC, he gets left on the tarmac essentially, finds a home under Nick Saban. Is probably, if you had told me when he was in Knoxville that he would be on Nick Saban's coaching staff, I would have bet every dollar that I had that he would make it maybe a couple of weeks, and that Nick Saban would be like, this guy, he's too weird. Get out of here. But he's changed. He grew up. His kids are older. Been through some challenges in his personal life, and he's probably the best version of Lane Kiffin, and he would probably attest to that he's been in his life. Really good spot. Oxford, I think, is a really, for his personality and all of the things that come with being a college football coach. Oxford, Mississippi, if you've never been through there, it's not a town that he's going to get, the autograph request or the picture request when he goes to dinner, but he's not in a huge metro area. One, the football program is pretty rich. They've had a lot of success historically, but it's a place where he can go and win 8, 9, 10, 11 games over a 5 or 6 year span. And they're not going to care if they have an 8-4 season sprinkled in there. If he does anything at all, makes any noise, they're happy. Well, that's a picture perfect place for the pressures that come with being a college football coach in 2025. Because it's not, this is a landscape now that's as different as it has ever been. The leash now, 2 years, 3 years, we're seeing coaches fired. Pressure, what comes with now paying players on top of recruiting. Yeah. If he ends up at Florida or an LSU, I'll be surprised. I know that's a lot of money to some. I think we'll see Ole Miss, counter that Florida offer, or at least give them. And it would be, Lane Kiffin at Florida would be scary because of obvious pipeline of high school athletics and this. He could essentially recruit 200-mile area around Gainesville and win 10 games or more a year. But there's a lot of pressure that come with being the University of Florida football coach. I think, and I almost hope I'm wrong, because Lane Kiffin moving within the SEC is just going to create chaos. But I also like chaos, so bring it on.
I know we have a short window. Maybe give me a 30-second on this one. Dan Lanning, LSU, the ties back there. Does that make sense?
Well, if you're LSU, it makes sense. That the LSU job with the governor speaking out now and get LSU politics in the head coaching search. I'm not sure that makes that job more attractive. I think that's less attractive. He has a good thing going in Oregon. Winning a lot of games, making a lot of money. It would be hard to leave Oregon. The Nike money, he's got all the access to anything he needs out there. If he wants to live in a better geographical environment, warmer winters, less. Yeah, I don't know. Dan Lanning, when I look at Dan Lanning, I think that's an Oregon guy. I know he's not from. He has no real hard ties to that area, but it's a lot of money to have to turn down, and it would, I guess, be, cause a lot of arguments saying it's a slight step up, but at this point, it's maybe a lateral move, in my opinion. I think a lot of the SEC guys around town would hate me saying that, but I don't. Yeah, I think I stay where I'm comfortably winning 11 games and making the college football playoff and in the national hunt every single year where I'm at. Pretty easy decision for me to stay, but to each their own.
Yeah, LSU doesn't have Nike money, so God bless you. Stay, Dan. Stay. Big card this week. You got a couple minutes. Everyone's anxiously awaiting. What are your in-pocket or leans this week, Tyler? What's the model say?
Yeah, there's a bunch. It's tagged to the top of the Twitter profile too at Tyler Wyatt Bet. It's every single play is highlighted. There's an open column and then a current column. Circa numbers current as of late last night, early this morning. It was a long poker session last night. Starts with Tulane on Friday. Tulane opened 5 at Circa, dropped to 4. I played the 4. My number on that one was 7.8. Memphis, big winner for us last week, money line and plus. I also had over in the game against South Florida. Go to Rice, who showed life of late, opened at 14, stayed at 14. Our number is 21-7. So happy to take a possession different there. In Circa's number on Halloween, a double header. North Carolina, Syracuse. Syracuse opens 2 against North Carolina, who showed some fight last week against Virginia. They go on the road. Syracuse has been battling the injury bug. I think everyone at this point has. Our number on that one though was 6.3, so I was happy to take under a field goal in that game. Also a player in the total, 46.5. It was an ugly game last week with North Carolina. Syracuse, I think this week we'll take a step forward offensively. Our number and the total was 54, so it's well over a touchdown over in that one. Penn State, Ohio State, how this game is less than 3 touchdowns, I have no idea. Penn State, better in recent form, still not great. Still just a ton of dysfunction in that program. Ohio State, the most complete team by almost 4 points, neutral in our model. So the fact that this was less than 3 touchdowns was just a shocker to me. Our number was 28.9, so happy to take 20. The total in the game, 43.5. I can see why they opened it that low subjectively. Our number was 51.3. Penn State defense has been okay, I guess, this year. I just don't know how Ohio State doesn't flirt with getting close to 43. 42-0 shutout, maybe it's the only way this one goes under. I think Ohio State can score as many as they want in this one. Maybe it's a look-ahead spot for Ohio State next week, but they're supposed to beat this team easily by more than 3 touchdowns. That's from a personal standpoint and also what the computer tells me. Vanderbilt and Texas was a pass. Vanderbilt, maybe the real deal. Big comeback last week in Texas, cost me a sizable 4-figure play. I'm mad at them, but decided to skip this one. Vandy went with a win here. Are we talking about a potential Heisman candidate and top 10 ranked football program in Tennessee that's not that's not the University of Tennessee? Potentially. Miami opened at 9, went to 12.5. SMU has been a darling in our power ratings and in our metrics. My number on this one was less than a touchdown, 5.8. So I was happy to take 12.5. Our total, 56.5, was 5 points lower than Benson and the boys opened at Circa. Still 51 available last night. I like over in that one. Houston, 10-point favorite opening at Circa. I played the opener at 10. It's 13.5 right now at Circa. My number was 15. That would be a no play unless we see that one drop. That one is a pass. Army is a pick at Air Force. Our number on that one was 5.4. Saw it move against us a point. Air Force now 1-point favorite. I think Army wins the game outright. Iowa State and Arizona State. Iowa State opened 3. Saw a big move there, jumped to 8. Our number with Levitt was 6.9, adjusted without the Arizona State quarterback. I moved that one. My spreadsheet that was posted was before the Levitt news at 6.9. I make that without Levitt 8.1, so pretty in line with where Jeff and the guys have that one. Would be a no play there. East Carolina 3 opened. Our number was 6.7. It's flirting at 5. I'm a player at 5. I think this is an East Carolina team that wins by a touchdown, but 5 is a playable number for me. Louisville opened 10-point favorite at Circa, moved to 11 at Virginia Tech. James Franklin finalizing a deal, it sounds like, to be the Hokies head coach. That shakes up the ACC some. Louisville 15.9 in our model. I was a player at 10. I'm also a player at 11. UNLV opens 5-point favorite, drops to 4. Our number on the game was 9.9. I'm a buyer and backer in the Mullen-led Rebels. Georgia and Florida, 8-point opener, drops to 7. Our number on this game is well into the double digits. So I'm a player at 7. Georgia and Florida in Jacksonville. Sorry. I don't know if we can call that the cocktail party anymore. I'm not sure what's woke or not woke anymore, but It'll forever be the cocktail party for me. Total in the Texas Tech Kansas State game. Open 53.5, dropped to 52.5. I've got 60 in the game, so I'm a player at 52.5. Delaware goes to Liberty as a 2-point dog. I have Delaware favored by 2. Player on Nick Minicucci and Delaware. Hopefully his status is going to be good there. Banged up the arm last week, but Delaware a favorite at Liberty. Western Michigan opens a 4-point favorite. Goes to 5. My number on the game, 8.1. I'm a player at 4 or 5 in that one. Michigan, 18-point opener. Moved to 21. Our number, 25.1. I'm a player at 18. I don't love 21. 20.5, playable number. 21 is probably a pass for me, but if you can see 20.5, I think it's safe to take. Georgia Tech opens a 6-point favorite, stay 6. Total went from 45.5 to 57. Our number on the game was 12 and 57.5. I'm a backer in Georgia Tech, the new darling of the ACC at 6. 6.5 playable, 7. 7 is close. Would still play 7 at 110, not anything higher than minus 110. USC Nebraska opener at 6, stayed at 6. This is a USC and Nebraska game. Could be really, really good. Both of these teams, they are not great at stopping the run. Both teams efficient through the air. Our number on that one was 1.3, so it should be a close game. Backer in Nebraska plus the 6. Auburn, 10-point favorite at home against Kentucky. A game, career, at least a season-saving win, I think, for Auburn last week. I think they cover 10 against Kentucky. My number on that one was 14.1. Washington State, 4-point opener, drops to 3.5. My number 11.2. The model has loved Washington State all season, and it's been right more often than not. 11.2. I'm a player at 4, 3.5. I think that one's good up to 6. Troy, 7-point opener. Our number on that one is 12.7, and then last game on the sheet. San Jose State opens a 2-point favorite, still 2 at Circa. Our number is the other side. I have a Hawaii 3.6-point favorite. I think the Hawaii offense can get enough there against the San Jose State defense to get an outright win.
Tyler, I know you're against it. Always the best. Enjoy the Knoxville call, and we'll catch up soon, brother.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it.
All right, take care. Tyler Wyatt, go follow him, of course, at Tyler Wyatt Bets, at Odds Culture. Quick commercial break, and Mr. Matt Grissom. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Lot to talk about. SEC, Westgate Supercard. Let's bring him in, Mr. Matt Grissom. What's up, Matty?
Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're getting close to November, of course. Halloween tomorrow, November 1st. On Saturday, which means NCAA basketball. Of course, you see me smiling ear to ear. Dan Hurley in fine form already as he's playing an exhibition game against Michigan State and just going off on the kids. Some things never change, Matt.
Yeah, same for Arkansas with Cal and Memphis. Their exhibition game, they were flying around the ball, and the post game, Cal said, "Did that feel like an exhibition game? Because it felt like a tournament game to me. They wanted to beat us, and we responded and wanted to beat them." So, yeah, these games may not mean anything, but I guarantee you it means something to the players and coaches in them.
Well, I can't wait. Next Thursday at this time, we'll be talking some NCAA basketball. And, of course, we'll be sticking with the script with the SEC, the Westgate Supercard, et cetera, et cetera. What'd you see last week, Matt?
Is Vanderbilt legit? I kind of heard you and Tyler talking right there. Diego Pavia didn't have the greatest game against Alabama. Played decent against Missouri with that defense, but yeah, Vanderbilt could be looking at a college football playoff team if they can get it done this weekend. But this is a weird line this weekend, which we'll get into it. I don't know. You've got all the question marks about Arch. Is he going to play? Is he still in concussion protocol? and you've got a red hot Vanderbilt team who you feel like is finally stating themselves as a legitimate contender in the SEC. Now you're going to disrespect them and make them a dog. At first glance, knee-jerk reaction, I was like, oh, Vanderbilt all the way. And the more I've thought about it, kind of makes sense with these odds where they're lining up right now. But overall, Arkansas just crapped the bed against Auburn. That was a very winnable game. Had the lead. I think it was 28-10 at one point. Just, more of the same. We can't close out a game. And now we get Mississippi State, two teams that are 0-4 in the SEC. They're dying for a win. They have lost Mississippi State's lost two games or 2 games in overtime by a single score, and if not a third, just wasn't in overtime. Arkansas's got 3 losses in SEC play, less than a touchdown. Just somebody's got to win this game, and that's going to be a big one. Heartbreaker for Mississippi State, though, last weekend. Had the 7.5. Thank God I had that hook because Hookem came in and came back in overtime. Alabama, once again, looked shaky. I've mentioned the last couple of weeks that their defensive numbers are just terrible. They really can't stop anybody. They better be thankful for Ty Simpson that they could have him lead them back in that game because they looked dead in the water there against South Carolina. And then to close it out with a little non-SEC, you've got Group of 5, Memphis, shocking the world and beating USF, which shouldn't have been that shocking. I think Memphis was primed to win that game. But South Florida now, outside looking in on that college football playoff, Memphis may very well be in the driver's seat for the Group of 5s to make that playoff.
Ohio State, a drop-off. Are you putting Indiana comfortably there at 2? Drop off Alabama? I know you're not high on Alabama. They're a different team home and away. They have been leaking oil. Don't forget they did lose their first game. Ty Simpson has carried them. But is it Ohio State? And as Tyler said, 4-point favorites over whoever on a neutral field here. Their defense has just been amazing. Matt Patricia, who would have thunk? But you got Indiana locked into number 2, Matt?
Yeah, I've got – so Ohio State right now about a 2-point favorite over Indiana. That's the gap there. And then from there, you've got another 2 to Oregon. And then you've got 1.5 to Notre Dame, another 1.5 to Alabama. So looking at Ohio State, just for being able to relate it, Alabama, Ohio State on a neutral right now, I would say Ohio State minus 6.5.
It was funny because a couple of weeks ago I had asked Ron Momorlewski about Ohio State versus Miami on a neutral field, and I had 3.5, 4 before Miami had lost. And he had it at 10, and then, of course, Miami goes out and loses to Louisville. And, the separation. And it's kind of scary because you think about Ohio State last year. They didn't start cooking with Crisco till they backed into the playoffs, basically. And then lights out. And if their offense can ever start clicking like we think it's going to do starting in November and December, at it with their defense. I mean, just what you just said here. Think about it this way, Matt. National championship game next Saturday, Ohio State -2 against Indiana on a neutral field. I don't know how many. I couldn't see. I would say it would be an 80-20 split, meaning Ohio State versus Indiana on the bet card.
Yeah. I mean, who do you think has the coaching advantage in that one? Because I would argue Cignetti is a better coach than Day. Quarterback, I think you've got to go Mendoza with Indiana. Maybe running back wide receiver is Ohio State. Defensive ranks, Ohio State ranks 4th in the country in defensive efficiency. Indiana's 8th in offense. Indiana's 6th. Ohio State's 5th. I mean, these two teams are neck and neck. It's not going to surprise me if we see either one of them win the national championship.
My headliner, which lane will Kiffin be in 26-27? I talked to Tyler about lane, and I congratulated him, meaning all the hoopla that came out on Monday after the bad beat in Georgia, 5-point dogs in Oklahoma, box to wire, basically great effort. And he's like, guys, don't relax. I'm still here. We're not going anywhere. A very impressive win that Lane, big game Lane, bounced back in Oklahoma last Saturday.
Yeah, and I loved his comments after the game, post game to Brent Venables, talking about how I guess Venables made the comment that they were the better team, they just lost. And then he had receipts on every other time that they've matched up, whether he had been at Alabama and Brent was at Clemson. He said maybe they had the better team in the national championship when we beat them 42-14 or whatever. I love Lane Kiffin. And there's no reason why all these open jobs, the name gets thrown out there. Everybody thinks that they deserve to get Lane Kiffin. I know Florida's pushing real hard. LSU's got their hat in the ring. But does he leave? I mean, what? Tell me right now, what is better about Florida and LSU? I get the recruiting is probably going to be easier, but what he's built at Ole Miss, I mean, to me, that's just kind of like a parallel job.
Well, I think you nailed it.
Right. Where the teams are right now, why would you pick up and rebuild just for a little bit bigger recruiting bid?
Well, I think the recruiting in Florida would be a lot easier, number one. The LSU job, well, okay, I'm not comparing them, but I'm going to compare them. Look what Urban Meyer did in Florida and then took that and went to Ohio State. LSU, wide receiver factory, Brian Kelly comes in and just wasn't it. Lane knows the lanes in the SEC. Now, he can stay at Ole Miss, and they'll build a statue, and he can, as Tyler put it very nicely, hey, you can go 8-4, 9-3 every year. They're never going to get rid of you. It's up to you if you want to move. The Florida job is intriguing. I don't think the LSU job, which Lanning's name has been thrown into, and as Tyler says, why would you leave Phil Knight money and Nike to go to LSU? That makes no sense. But Kiffin, I think that's a tough call, Matt, meaning the success that you could have in Florida with that recruiting versus staying at Ole Miss.
Yeah. So one interesting nugget, I know Landry Kiffin, Lane's daughter, she was one of the main reasons why he didn't take that Auburn job when it came open. She said in that documentary that she put out that her and her friends, she had just moved because part of Lane's family, they did not move from Southern California when he got the Alabama job. They stayed back in California. So he is just now really reconnected with his kids, and she's enrolled at Ole Miss. Now, she's dating Whit Weeks, who plays for LSU, so that's kind of interesting. But I don't think she wants to uproot her college career and move to Florida with Lane. So I think there's more at play than just where can I go to get better recruits and more money? Because at the end of the day, Jimmy Sexton's the one that wants more money. Lane has said time and time again that he doesn't care. I mean, at this point, when you're making this much money, it's all about keeping your family together and staying happy.
Decent card, not a spectacular card. Talked to a few colleagues, and we got spoiled about a month ago where you couldn't leave the TV because it was a headliner. There's some decent games here throughout the day. Obviously, you talked about Vanderbilt in Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, not the rivalry that we thought in August. Notre Dame, 29.5-point favorites. And when we're talking next Thursday, I'll just say, Notre Dame scored again. If you like Notre Dame, just take their team total over there. But I want to go to one game before we get to your Westgate card and how you did last week and what you see this week. Because we talked about bounce backs. We talked about what Ole Miss did in Oklahoma. I got stung hard. I got the banana in the tailpipe. I had Oklahoma minus 4.5, but the real stinging was I had their team total over 28.5. They had 26 at the end of 3. Didn't score in the whole fourth quarter. Now they traveled to Tennessee, which you're supposed to be able to score on. Total's only 55.5 at the Circa with the 3. Does Oklahoma have that bounce back in them, or is this a Tennessee team that's going to stick it to them?
So I marked that one on my card. I haven't put all of my picks in yet, but Oklahoma +3 in the Westgate card, that is just close enough to where I'll probably end up staying off of it. If you could get 3.5 with Oklahoma, I like it. We know that this Tennessee defense really can't stop anybody. Kentucky kept putting points up on them, and I had laid the -9 with Tennessee last week. It was like, come on, guys, it's Kentucky. Get a stop. They ultimately did, and they covered and all as well. But yeah, Oklahoma, ever since John Mateer's injury, he hasn't looked the same. He played really well early in the season. He was like the shortest shot by a long shot to win the Heisman. That really hasn't panned out as well as what early indicators said in the season. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Oklahoma team right now. I do think that they're going to be able to score against Tennessee because, like I said, everybody can. But is Tennessee's defense going to be able to come up with a couple of stops to keep this game maybe a 4, 7, 6-point game? And with the lower total than what I was expecting, it's kind of making me feel more like Tennessee may be the side. But it just depends on where you can get that line. At 3, I'm not a player on either one of them. 3.5, 2.5, I can probably be talked into playing Tennessee at 2.5 or Oklahoma at 3.5.
A couple games that you talked about UConn last week, and I'm going to just tell you the critics were killing Mora not going for 2, a game that they were 10.5-point under favorites. Really kind of chewed and played with their food. Isn't UAB the perfect spot for a bounce back here? 11.5 total at 64.5, down to 63 in some spots. I think UConn's going to score early and often here, Matt.
Yeah, they should. I've got that one marked too. They're back at home. UAB fired their coach. Our model, I'm typing it in now. We've got it. It was Connecticut by a lot. Yeah. UConn 40. UAB 22. Talking an 18-point spread. Yeah. UConn, in my opinion, is probably a good play this weekend.
And the head scratcher, and when I see head scratches, I got to go find out. Usually if I try to fight the head scratcher, I'm just ripping up the card. What was I thinking? And I think the head scratcher of the weekend here, Cincinnati at Utah opened at 7, now 9.5. It's actually 10 at across Vegas sportsbooks other than the Circa at 9.5. What am I missing here?
I don't know. Utah looked really good last weekend. I think they were up 42-0 at the half against Colorado. Cincinnati has kind of been a surprise darling this year. We make them a 2-touchdown favorite against the average team in college football, which is good. The problem is Utah is about 21, so should be a Utah win by a touchdown. Where is that game being played? I didn't even have that.
It's at Utah.
At Utah. Let's see what we've got this. By the way, UAB ranked 135th in defensive efficiency. UConn should be able to put up as many points as in that one. We make Utah minus 12.8. So we've got a 35, 22, 21 type game. Utah should dominate this. The Cincinnati offense, 9th in offensive efficiency, 8th in pass, 8th in rush. Well, passing defense, Utah's good. They're 10th. Rush defense, they're 31st. A little bit weaker there. Maybe they can run the ball against them. But, I mean, being in Utah, better strength of schedule for the Utes, 84th in the country for Cincy, 53rd for Utah. I just think the momentum, Kyle Whittingham's a great coach. It would be Utah or pass for me.
And last, actually, I'm going to ask you two more games. Kind of an inflated number, not what we thought in August. Miami travels to SMU, opened at 10, now 11 and a half. This SMU team, Jekyll and Hyde this year. Number looks a little high to me. Maybe Miami here going to get a little few style points this week, Matt.
Don't swear I don't have the number in front of me, but we make this Miami minus 12.5. What is it?
11 and a half.
Okay. Well, this would slight lean to Miami then. I think they probably due for a bounce back spot. Did they have a bye after the Louisville game? Or was that last weekend? The days are flying by.
Yeah. Was it last? No, I think it's been a week. They might have had a bye. I think it's been a week. Yeah, because Louisville played last
Thursday
week
against Louisville. Yeah. I don't know if they played last week, but yeah. SMU, man, really a head scratcher this year. I thought with the return of their quarterback, who was a shorter shot in the Heisman race, Rhett Lashley getting a lot of his team from last year's really good team, college football playoff team back. They've really struggled this year. I don't really know what to make of that. They're fourth in rush defensive efficiency. That's the only thing that they're really top 25 in. You think back and Kevin Jennings, the prolific dual threat quarterback running through the ACC, doing all things. He's got this pass offense 57th in the country, like not great. Miami's got the defense. They've got the offense with Carson Beck running. I don't know. Maybe Rhett Lashley's got 1 foot out the door. Maybe he's coming to Arkansas. Maybe he's going somewhere else. I don't know what the deal is with this SMU team, but I think they're terrible against the spread this week or this year. I would be fading them this week.
And last question before your Westgate card. USC travels to Nebraska, opening number 6.5 USC favorite with a 59, expecting a lot of points to be scored here. Kind of surprised USC at -6, almost like begging for Nebraska money. Tyler's model had it only at around a 1.5. He's on the Nebraska side here. Big game for both teams. Thoughts on that game?
Yeah, that's interesting because we make this USC minus 8.4. Looking at a projected score of 34 to 25, 26-ish. Looking at the stats, offensive efficiency, you've got USC number 2 in the country. They are taking on Nebraska 21st in the country in defensive efficiency. So pretty good 1 versus 9 in pass, 5 versus 85th in rush. If USC can keep it on the ground, they should be fine. Dylan Raiola, he's somewhat turnover prone, so maybe USC can attack them. Their pass defensive efficiency is 52nd in the country versus Nebraska's 36th ranked pass offense. Again, it's Matt Rule. Is he looking at the Penn State job? Who knows? Power ratings wise, USC minus 8. The projection's 8.4. Strength of schedule, 29th for USC, 67th for Nebraska. Nebraska had that blunder of a game against Minnesota the other night on Thursday Night Football. Are we believing Nebraska or are we believing Lincoln Riley and USC? For me, I know that Nebraska has struggled on the road in Big Ten games. I'm not sure what they have done as a dog at home in Big Ten games. But I don't think Matt Rule has done well against Lincoln Riley. I'm going USC.
How was the Westgate Supercard last week, sir?
We are 2.5 points out of the money. We had a rough 3-3-1. Again, I think I told you last week, I've got to stay around these key numbers because guess which one was a push? Mississippi State. Loved it, bet it at plus 7.5, pushed it at 7. LSU was way off on that one. BYU kind of faded all that Iowa State money coming in. That one was an easy winner. Vanderbilt, Tennessee, those were my 3 wins. The losses were UCLA, Arkansas, and LSU with Mississippi State to push. We've got to have a good last couple weeks to get in the money. And And I think so far I'm laying it with Georgia, the -7. This line doesn't make sense. I get the script of, oh, we fired our coach, now we're going to play better. No, Napier lost the last 4 to Georgia by an average margin of 21.5. They're only -7. I think it moved to 7.5, which means if I bet it in contest at 7, it's probably going to land as a push. But I don't get it. I think DJ Lagway is turnover prone. He can't really throw the ball well. Georgia's good at stopping the run. They're okay at stopping the pass. But again, when you're dealing with the quarterback that's not super accurate, he's not really going to pick them apart. Plus, Kirby really hasn't had that signature win on the season yet. Yeah, the Ole Miss win was good, but he has not, for lack of better words, kicked anybody's ass yet. And I think this is the game that he probably does it. And then Mississippi State, I talked about it earlier. Arkansas, Mississippi State, this is like 2 teams cut from the same cloth. They're 2 teams that are good on offense. They're okay on defense. In crunch time, they can't get it done. Somebody's got to win this game. I think plus 4.5, that's way too many points for Arkansas. It's opening day of Modern Gun for youth on Saturday. So as a dad of boys, would I rather take them to see the 2-6 Arkansas Razorbacks, or would I rather take them out to the woods and let them shoot a deer? Probably the latter. Arkansas is known for hunting. It's going to be a big weekend. For that, this crowd is not going to provide any sort of home field advantage. It was depleted last weekend in what was a must-win versus Auburn. There's going to be probably more cowbells there than I'm going to say whoop pigs. Mississippi State plus 4.5. I'm going to fade Arkansas in this spot. It's way too many points. And then Central Florida plus 3.5. This team is 2 or 3-0 in their last couple against the spread. Their offense has kind of come alive. Baylor's like Jekyll and Hyde in every single game. They're either blowing people out and then they lose the lead late, or they're just kind of hanging there neck and neck. That plus 3.5 with Central Florida, I feel like this is just going to be a back and forth track meet. And then the other one I'm looking at is San Diego State minus 10.5. Their offense has been really good. They're 3-0 against the spread, 5-0 as a favorite, 3-0 at home. They're playing a Wyoming team that really is not good outside of being in Laramie. San Diego State ranks 2nd in overall expected defensive efficiency. So along with that high-powered, explosive offense, they're shutting people down. And Wyoming ranks 102nd in offensive efficiency. I'm not sure how Wyoming puts up points here. San Diego State minus 10.5. I'll lay it at home. And then the one at Texas Tech, Kansas State, it intrigues me. I wish it wasn't 7. I saw where the last, I think, 8 matchups, Kansas State has won this game. Texas Tech started off really hot in the season, and they had the injury to Baron Morton, their quarterback, last week or 2 weekends ago. They lost their backup quarterback. It looks like Morton's going to be back. The thing about it is Texas Tech, when I think Tech, I think Graham Harrell, I think Michael Crabtree, I think the big upset over Texas, this high-powered Mike Leach offense, they're doing it with defense. This is a very good defense. And we know that Avery Johnson has struggled this year. Kansas State has not been what we all thought they were, as probably a team that should have competed for the Big 12. I know that they've been better lately, but if Texas Tech is healthy, that's a big if. If Baron Morton is listed as active and he's 100%, I'm going to watch some interviews today before we lock it in of Joey McGuire talking about it. I don't see how Texas Tech doesn't use this as an opportunity to bounce back. Texas Tech in games with Baron Morton, they have scored an average of, I think it's 47.5 points. Since his injury, they've scored 32. 42 of those points were against a bad Oklahoma State team, in which Joey McGuire said after the backup quarterback went down, Baron Morton would have been able to play if the game was competitive. So now you're talking about you're either going with your starter or a third stringer. That's a big if. I just need to know if Morton's going to be healthy. And then Indiana. I think we kind of talked about that. Dylan Raiola threw for 260 yards and 4 touchdowns against this Maryland offense. What can Fernando Mendoza do? This Heisman campaign continues. I want to lay it minus 22 with Indiana. My favorite quote of all time from Kurt Signetti, outside of the I win, Google me, is we don't just beat teams, we beat the shit out of them. And I don't think he has any qualms about going into Maryland and taking it to the Terrapins. 22, 23, 23 and a half, I'll lay it with Indiana all day.
Oh, that's a very impressive card. Some eye openers for sure. I can't wait. I got them locked and loaded here. Scroll has been going the whole time, Matt. Of course, everyone knows they can follow you on X at Grissom on X, NCAA Insiders, but tell them where they can find all your work, sir.
MattGrissom.com, all of our power ratings. Just switched everything over. Again, still working on this model. It is slowly but surely creeping up the ranks that Andrew Purvisille puts out, and just trying to compete with the best out there and learning every step of the way. But it's been a lot of fun. Again, MattGrissom.com. You can see all the power ratings, weekly sims, everything. If you have a question about anything, just holler at me. My DMs are open.
Tomorrow morning, 9:15 a.m., Scotty Webb will be back. We'll talk in-pocket plays there. Around 10:30, I'll be a guest with McGinnis Picks at Wager Talk. At 11 a.m., Nick Hatko returns, and he'll talk about Notre Dame. 29.5-point favorites. They just scored again at BC on Saturday, and the rest of his card. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Matt Grissom at Grissom on X. Wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy the NFL as Lamar and the Ravens try to get cheeky with it. Stay tuned.